It is a fantastic day outside, and you know what that means. It is time to build an antenna. And something I should have done a long time ago when it came to antenna building is I should have gotten a metric tape measure. This is a 50-meter tape measure, and it also has feet on the other side. So there is meters side and there is feet side. So we're good to go on any big long wire antennas I want to build, and that makes this a perfect video for big long wire antenna builds. There's a link to this down in the description below. I got it from Amazon. Also, it's a pretty cool little thing, and you know, everybody needs a tape measure or 10. So there's that. This, don't look at that. Nobody saw that. That's for a future antenna. This is a 160-meter dipole build, 160-meter doublet build. And what you need for a doublet is ladder line. And what they say about the ladder line for the doublet is any length. And I guess that makes this 65 foot. So 65 foot is good enough. We will get some of that on there. And this, I don't know, it's been like a year or so. But the whole idea for this video came from Callum. Callum sent this over. It is the doublet center, which is this fancy cool piece here. And some DX Commander stickers for some added dB, and some fancy stay-up tubing, which I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about that. But we will get there. That's probably for the far end. But we'll figure it out as we go along. Or not, whatever the case may be. These are some S-beaners. S-beaners are fantastic for the ends of antennas, and actually, to tell you the truth, I thought I had lost these. I didn't know they were in this box. Next to that is the DX10. So as you can see right there, this is DX10 AG PVC insulated single core cable DX10, and this is 100 meters, which should be enough for this antenna. And then this stuff here, this is the stuff that I use. I don't know if it's the best stuff or not the best stuff. I don't know if it's good, bad, or indifferent. There will be a link to this in the description down below as well, but it is fantastic stuff, and it is what I use, and it's cheap, and it works, and I use this for the ends of antennas and whatnot, and as throw rope to go up in the trees, and it doesn't get snagged, and all that fantastic stuff. It's Dacron, blah, 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 awesome stuff, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to doing the build. Alright, back at the workbench again. Today's knife to get this thing open is the Morakknife, I guess is how you pronounce that. Morakknife Pro C, made in Sweden. And fantastic little bushcrafting knife. But that's what I got for today. And let's see if I can do this without, nice and sharp, without destroying this fancy stay-up tubing, or the center, or the foldbacks. Alright, awesome. Stickers! Love stickers. Let's put some stickers on there. Actually, you know what? It's going to be hidden when we do that, so I'm going to put these on at the end. Okay, before we get too far, and I forget where these things here go, they go... There's my screwdriver at. My fancy prying tool. I guess I'll have to use pliers instead. Fine. Have to use the right tool for the job, if I can even do that. Before I forget where these guys go, they go in the end of... I'm going to hurt myself. And the magical joy about a doublet is that it's not very resonant to begin with. This antenna is probably going to be 5 to 1 out. I'm cutting it for 160 meters, which means it will work on any band higher up than 160 meters, so I've been told. We will find out. And because it's not resonant to begin with, you don't really need to do a whole lot of tuning work on it. So, like, this is going to be the easiest, the best antenna you can build. Alright, how many how many cheap old ham feelings did I hurt by cutting the zip ties instead of unsnapping them? Put that down on the floor and get me enough to work with up here on the table. I'm going to cut out one whole window and see if that is enough. That's a bit of strain relief on that. Awesome. Okay folks, I had to do a bunch of hardware sorting off camera, and some of that is not pretty. So I've got these fancy yellow end connectors. What do they call these? Terminals. These fancy yellow terminals which fit fantastically over these bolts and nuts. And then I've got these blue ones that are not the right size, and apparently there isn't really much of a standard as to what the size is. This one's too loose. The big set of blues is too tiny, and the big collection of blues. And then this one I had to drill out a bit, and that was not pretty. But it fits on there. It fits on there nice and snug, which will be good for our purposes today. But now what that means is that these post holes here aren't big enough, so we've got to do a little bit of surgery. So, got my drill motor and I've got my drill in it, and let's make a mess. All right, 2 wide holes done. Perfect. Okay, I guess I should have warmed up the soldering iron while I was doing that, because the next thing I need to do is put those ring terminals on, and we're going to use the yellows for the antenna wire like so. I mean, we're going to strip it first, of course, and then we're going to use the antenna wire. For the ladder line we're using the yellows, and for the antenna wire we will use the blues. So that will take care of that. Now we're getting a collection of trash and a collection of tools, so now you know that the project is moving right along. So what we need to do up next is get that insulation off of that wire. So more tools. We need a wire stripper. Let's see what we can do with the wire stripper here. All right. That's looking good. We can put that in there. We can get our cheap crimpers. I think they're in this bin with the rest of the wire down here below. All right. Cheap crimpers to the rescue. And let's see. Yeah, they make the biggest hole in the back. Let's see if I have my other cheap crimpers in here. Alright, even cheaper crimpers. The worst part about that wire bin is that there's just enough room for everything in there. Not too much room, just enough. And so, as a result, it's a pain in the butt to get stuff out and put stuff back in, because I've always got to rearrange it to make it fit. Alright, there's one done. And we're going to solder these guys up anyhow, so I just want to get this way oversized crimper, way oversized terminal closer to being solderable. Perfect. Get out my, probably don't even need the helping hands. Nope, don't need no helping hands. We don't need no stinking helping hands. Get out of here. Alright, there is a good start with that. Now what we need to do is figure out how we're going to get the 100 meters of wire taken care of. I'm going to think on that for a second. Okay, so I got a dilemma. Well, maybe two dilemmas. Number one is I don't have any little hams to help me out right now. They're all off at work trying to be soon-to-be grown-up hams, and that doesn't really help me build an antenna. Second is I've got 100 meters of wire, and for a 160 meter doublet you want 136 feet of wire, and 100 meters cut in half, blah blah blah, do some math on camera no less, is, I'm not cheating at all, I'm not looking at my cell phone to see what I wrote down for notes here. It's 164 foot of wire. I'm going to need to do some fold back. You don't really need to do a whole heck of a lot of tuning on this thing because it's not resonant to begin with. And none of that really is the problem. What the real problem is two things. One, I'm a cheap old man and I don't really want to cut and waste such valuable wire. And maybe the bigger problem is that I don't want to hoist it up, have it be wrong, lower it back down, do some trimming, hoist it back up again, because this is a beast. But science. So what we're going to do, we're going to cut this in half. It's going to be 164 foot. I'm going to fold it back 2 feet on each end of that wire, so it's going to be 160 foot. I can subtract 4 on camera. I can do that. And then we're going to tie it down nice and tight, and we're going to put it in the air, and we're going to just see what happens. And maybe run it like this for a little while and see how well that works. The band conditions today stink. The maximum usable frequency is 20 meters and I'm building an antenna for 160. But today might not be the day for this antenna, but it will be the day to get it constructed. I have no idea how much of this you're going to see on camera, but I'm going to tie it off to a tree and try and extend this thing all the way out and all the way back and all that nonsense. Stick around. Okay, I don't know that I properly understood the magnitude of 50 meters of wire. It's a nice windy day, but I'm breaking a sweat just walking back and forth. That's how big this thing is. This just gets more and more insane by the minute. I had to go back out and reevaluate, and I re-wrapped this up. This is only half the cable. I didn't do as good of a job as Cal did getting it on there. But what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 feet of this, which is the entire width of my cutting mat, and you can't see all the sides of it because of the cramped amount of space. But we're going to take 2 feet of this and mark it somehow. I just don't know how. Electrical tape. Electrical tape for the win. And while we have this stuff all free from the mess, I don't know if this is a good idea or a bad idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. What I am going to do is take that 2 feet of wire and put it through the strain relief. Okay, had to do a bit of that off of camera, but don't think you wanted to see the improvised leg vise that I used on camera. So what we got is some strain relief on the strain relief on the strain relief. So now what we're going to do is turn the soldering iron on, and I put my crimp tool away, not very far away, but I put it away, and get this end here soldered on. And yes, I know there are better tools for the job, but this is a case of which one is more lazy. Have you guys ever played the which one is more lazy game? Where is it more lazy to sit here and use 2 pairs of pliers to get this job done versus go out and get your socket set and your wrenches and figure out the right size for it and then come back and then do all of that? I don't know. I'm thinking that the effort was equal on both ends, so I went with it. And this is what you wind up with. So we've got one end of this done. I'm going to get the other end of this done. It's going to look exactly the same, so I'm going to do that off camera, and then we're going to go outside. Both ends are installed. Centers are done up nice. Wire nuts are nice and tight. Now we got to take all of this wire here and go put it up in the air somehow. So that's going to be fun too. All right, we totally got that line up there in one throw. Nothing but sheer arm strength and determination of will made it up there. Nothing at all. All right, so we've got some 450 ohm ladder line hooked up to the old silo all the way at the top. And then I don't know if it's even visible on the camera or not, but there's a wire that goes off into the field over there, and then there's another one that goes off the top right over there. Let's switch around to get a better view of those guys. Okay, so I'm standing at the base of the silo now, and I have an antenna wire running all the way down there out to one of those T-posts that is holding up the pasture fence for the sheep. And the sheep are out there enjoying the pasture right now. At the base of the silo, looking in the opposite direction, I have an antenna wire that is coming down here and into that tree over there. What we've got is 100 meters of wire in the air. And when you're cutting a doublet, it just really needs to be close, and this really isn't even close on 160 meters. My calculations were 136 feet on each side, 272 feet of total wire. And what I decided to do was just cut the wire in half. So I've got about 50 meters on each side. That's around 164 feet. I folded it back 2 feet on each end for stability, and then there's some of it that's taken up in the centerpiece to cut up some slack. So we're around 160 feet on each side. But that's okay, because this antenna is not resonant to begin with, and you need a tuner. So in addition to all of that, I also have 65 foot of ladder line attached. The key to ladder line is that you don't want it to be a multiple of any band of interest. Other than that, any length is just fine, and any type of ladder line is also just fine. What you're going to need for ladder line is a balanced feeder tuner, balanced wire tuner. Let me show you what I'm working with. All right, so for today's station, I have the MFJ 949E. It is the Deluxe Versa Tuner 2. This thing is a dummy load, a dual antenna switch for 2 different types of coax antennas, and a balanced wire switch, as well as a power meter, and it has a light in it if you plug it in. The light is not necessary for the operation of the tuner. And what you're working with is an inductor in the middle, and then a transmitter match and an antenna match, and it's what's called a pi network. And what you're trying to do is find the sweet spot between everything. And then the radio that I'm running is a Yaesu FT891 out of a Bio-NO battery pack, and this is the 15 amp hour battery pack. So we're going to run 100 watts for a little bit this morning and see what kind of goodness we can get out of this guy. Kilo Delta 4 station again, please.
Kilo Delta 4 Alpha Kilo Mike.
Kilo Delta 4 Alpha Kilo Mike. I've got you 5'9" into Wisconsin. I am running a 100 meter doublet. This thing is just insane, and it is picking you up very clearly. How copy on your end?
Well, you are only a 5x4, but your audio is super.
So I say this a lot on the channel, but sometimes we do things just because we can, not because we should. This is a 160 meter doublet. It's actually even bigger than a 160 meter doublet, but basically cut this for a quarter wavelength of a band of interest and get it in the air and hook it up to your tuner and make some contacts. You don't have to fret about folding it back or tuning it in or figuring out SWR ratios or any of that. Plug it into your tuner, let your tuner do the work. You can probably even put your balance line into a 1-to-1 balun with the SO239 on the end, and then run some coax into your automatic tuner and tune it up that way. I might try that a little bit later. But it is a super easy antenna to build, excuse the length. It's a super easy antenna to install, again, excuse the length. But once you get past all of that nonsense, it's a blast to operate. I made a bunch of contacts that morning, and then I had to go to work, and that ruined it. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to say. Fantastic antenna. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for coming along on the journey. Be sure to do all that like, comment, subscribe, fantastic YouTube stuff down below, and stick around to see all the patrons that support the channel. Thanks for being awesome. One more time.